My name is Chef Swat, and we are on a mission to beat Elden Ring from start to finish using all 411 unique weapons that this game has to offer. Today's weapon is Eleanor's Poleblade, and it was recommended by Power over on YouTube. Eleanor's Poleblade is a fantastic weapon that is introduced in the mid-game of the series, and today we'll be diving into a full breakdown of the weapon and how it performs in your adventure to becoming the Elden Lord. We're first going to start off with the starting class, where we will go over the optimal starting class and why. We will then discuss what stats to upgrade and in what order to maximize this weapon. Are there any soft caps, hard caps to hits? Do you need 15 endurance, 20, 25, etc.? From there, we will do a deep dive into the actual build itself, including talismans, psychic flasks, any armor pieces, and next up, we will be having footage of all 14 required bosses, where we will discuss unique strategies using this weapon on each of those 14 bosses. Finally, after we have seen the full playthrough and breakdown, we will go over where this weapon ranks on the tier list. Is it an S tier weapon? Is it A tier? Is it a D tier below average? Or does it land all the way in that broken straight sword tier? We'll be able to find out together in this playthrough. So without further ado, let's get into the starting class. The optimal starting class when using Eleanor's Poleblade is going to be the Bandit, because the Bandit brings us in at the closest for the weapon's requirements. Now, Eleanor's Poleblade does require a whopping 19 Arcanine to use, a whopping 21 Dexterity to use, and 12 Strength. So, because of the fact that you don't get this weapon until you do a long quest into the Atlas Plateau, and because of the fact that this weapon's requirements to wield are high, more then most players will most likely have completed a minimum of 4 of the required bosses before using this weapon. So we're going to assume that if you're using Eleanor's Poleblade in a playthrough from start to finish, you're in New Game Plus or farther. That being said, when leveling up your class in order to prepare for your playthrough, you want to first focus on getting that dexterity from 13 all the way to 21, and next your arcanine from 14 over to 19. Your strength, you don't necessarily need to level because we're going to be two-handing it for the duration of it. But if you just want to, you can get it to 12 for some base damage. That'll be at the very end. The order of operations for this, though, will be dexterity, followed by your arcane, getting your vigor from 10 to 30, and then you want to get your endurance from 10 all the way up to 20. Reason for that is the Ash of War takes a lot, and even when you're not doing the Ash of War, you want to be able to get in and out of places quickly when using this weapon. Next up, our mind also needs to get cranked to 20 because we're going to be using our Ash of War quite a bit. From there, we're actually going to focus on our Arcane. It is currently at 19, and you're going to want to get it up to 45, which is a major soft cap when scaling bleed on weapons with natural blood affinity and scaling an arcane. So you need to get arcane up to 45, and then we're going to pump all remaining points from there into dexterity to maximize the damage of this class. Now that we know the optimal starting class for using Eleanor's Poleblade, we know what stats to upgrade and in what order. Let's get into the build. Now that we know the starting class and what stats to upgrade in what order, to maximize Eleanor's Poleblade, let's go into a breakdown of the build itself. Now, Eleanor's Poleblade is a somber weapon with a unique Ash of War called the Bloodblade Dance, which has an absolutely amazing staggered effect, and you can follow that up with a follow-up where it does an additional 2 attacks if you press it again, such as so. In order to maximize this weapon, for armor, you want to wear the white mask, and that is going to prop bleed anytime there is an attack boost. Wait, reverse that, strike it. It's going to proc an attack buff every time there is bleed in the area, and with this weapon, 77 blood loss buildup at plus 10 with 45 arcane, and how much it hits, there's going to be quite a bit of blood buildup. Next up for the talismans, we have the Shard of Alexander, because whenever it's possible to use that amazing Ash of War we just showed off, we're going to want to do that to the tune of a 15% burst with this weapon. Now, the Ash of War does several consecutive hits, which does proc the Winged Sword Insignia, Millicent's Prostate, as well as the Thorny Crack tier. All 3 of those, the 2 talismans and the Cracks tier, will work in counion in order to maximize your attack after 1 Ash of War. The second psychic tier that we put in was for stamina recovery, and the last talisman that we have is the Dragon Crest Great Shield for physical damage negation. So now that we know the starting class and a build breakdown, let's see a quick example of how this performs against a random NPC. Over. You're going to pop your flask. You're going to line them up. And you're going to enjoy this amazing Ash of War. And just like that, it is over. Absolutely deadly build. It's got the stamina recovery with the green burst tier. It's got enough damage negation with your Dragon Crest Great Shield. The damage is baloney. Let's get into the actual footage of the run with the 14 required bosses, starting with the first one, Margit. When fighting Margit, you want to pop your Psychic Flask into the arena, and when the fight starts, we want to be able to utilize our multiple hit talismans as well as our Shadow of Alexander to start building up our consecutive hit damage as well as his stats. Additionally, the more we hit him, the more likely we are to pluck Bleed. As you see right there, the blood bleed got procced. And before he can even transition to second phase, we are able to finish off the fell Omen. This is the first major boss of the run, and anytime you can defeat a boss before they even get a chance to transition into their second phase, it is an absolute 1-on-10 difficult fight. The easiest it can possibly be. The damage output that Eleanor's Poleblade puts out is tremendous. Difficulty of Margit, the Fell Omen with Eleanor's Poleblade is a true 1-on-10, as we can see there. Let's continue up to Stormveil Castle and tackle the second boss of the run, Godrick. Next up, we have Godrick the Grafted, and with this boss here, we decided, hey, you know what? Let's switch this talisman back up. We want to see if we can get a bigger damage bonus once the Rivers of Blood procs. And in this case, it doesn't even have to be the Rivers of Blood. It's safe. While a great bleed weapon, Eleanor's Poleblade can also proc bleed, and that's what we're going to be doing for the duration of the run. So right there, you can see we already are able to get off a good amount of stance damage. We still don't have the bleed stack off quite yet though, so we are going to re-engage here. He is going to do his attacks where he spams and flails around for 5 hits, but we're going to be in a good position to punish that now. We decide to test out with some quick attacks to see if we can get off the bleed, and you see that the bleed is off. So as of right now, we do have a 30% damage boost between the White Mask and the Lords of Blood's execution, and we see another blood proc right before he transitions into this phase. Now we can quickly dodge the fireball, hit him with 1 Ash of War, proc his stats break, finish him off with a critical strike. He did manage to elude us during phase 1. We couldn't get a pure 1-on-10 difficulty because the weapon didn't quite get enough damage to beat him before he transitioned. However, he got beat right after he transitioned. He did not finish his flamethrower attack. So the difficulty of Godrick using Eleanor's Poleblade is a true 2-on-10. Now, the Red Wolf is a lot more of a mobile boss, and this time I actually lost a round to it. Reason for that is when you're doing this Ash of War, although it does provide hyper armor, the boss is able to still damage you when you're doing it. Our HP wasn't that high at this point in the run, running the build, you know, and we were able to get hit by his sword, and immediately when we were still in the Ash of War animation, we got hit by a magic sword. So we actually lost round 1, meaning the Red Wolf of Radagon is already by default going to be a much harder fight than normally, because we almost never have lost to this boss. Still though, when you are able to properly line up a shot, you can take him out in not too much trouble there. As you saw, we got a couple of the smaller hits in before finding a safe window, and the safe window that you want to target is going to be either his downward sword slam or his left to right bite attack followed up by a supercharge. That said, it was harder with Eleanor's Poleblade than other weapons such as Colossus. The difficulty with Eleanor's Poleblade against the Red Wolf ended up being a 6-on-10. Interestingly enough, Eleanor's Poleblade does fire damage as well as physical damage. So in second phase, the Moon Queen, since she is surrounded by water, is actually going to take reduced damage from this weapon. So we're going to see how it does in phase 2. But first things first, in phase 1, we want to pop our Psychic Flask here. And when the fight starts, you have to find the choir boys with light bulbs over their head, knock out their lights, so to speak. And then when Rennala drops, if a weapon earns a 1-on-10 difficulty, half of the formula is going to be when she lands, do we get her all out in 1 round before she transitions back into her cocoon in round 2? And as we can see right here, we are able to easily get Rennala down in round 1 before she back in her cocoon. So we're looking so far so good as far as the difficulty. Now, when phase 2 starts, she is going to start off with a pre-programmed hyper beam attack, letting us close the distance, roll through it, and starts wailing on her. We chose to go for some quick attacks here because she immediately procced her moon attack, and we didn't want to get animation locked in case she did run that attack, which you see she did. That being said, once the moon is out, we're going to have a window now to close the distance. I decided to hit her with a quick attack before following up with the Ash of War. The logic was I wanted to be able to potentially get a blood proc and a stagger when she was a bit lower. We still do get hit out of the attack with the hyper armor, but we are able to finish her off before her summon does any damage to us. She got a couple hits off on phase 2, but phase 1 was complete and utter domination. Phase 2, still a very well-rounded fight as far as how the weapon performs. The overall difficulty of Rennala, the Moon Queen, with Eleanor's Poleblade is only a 2 on 10 for these reasons. Let's head up to the Atlas Playtale and the Dramatic Tree Sentinel. For a lot of the run, this is a skill check for new players, and you can even see us right there. We have our runes right in front of this boss because he did actually take us out with a quick combo because we were locked into the Ash of War. So this time when you're fighting him, the Dramatic Tree Sentinel, what I would actually recommend is stick with your quick attacks, such as we're doing there, building up immense pressure, immense blood static, and then punishing him in windows with guaranteed victory. You'll see right there, when he went to turn away from us and blew a fireball, that's when we chose to activate the Ash of War, which procced blood, procced stagger, and led us finishing him off quickly. The boss did defeat us the first time, but it was a bit unlucky because we were just locked in our animation from our Ash of War. So I would say as long as you're smart when you choose the Ash of War, for example, right after the sword blaze a fireball or right after his big heavy slam and then follow up quick slam, you're going to have no problem with this boss using Eleanor's Poleblade. We won't penalize the death too much because again, it was just, we were seeing where that window was, but in second phase, we were able to see absolutely devastating damage. It got off 2 attacks only on us. The difficulty of the Dramatic Tree Sentinel with Eleanor's Poleblade only comes in at a 3 on 10. Let's head up to the first boss of the run that does not bleed, the Ghost of Godrick. So when fighting the Ghost of Godfrey, it is important to know once you enter the arena, he'll spawn right in front of you. So I like to pop my Psychic Flask right before I get in. And then we decided to not attack him as much with the Ash of War because that would put us in an animation lock. And this boss does have some very quick summons and very quick staggers, as you can see. So we decided to mostly quick with some of the quick attacks here. Whenever he jumps away from you, a good window to punish him in return is going to be jumping over his stomp attack. And after you jump over that stomp attack, you're able to do a follow-up punish with a jump attack of your own. Now, I know we're taking a lot of little hits here and there, but really, we're just trying to find a window of opportunity to get to full to really kind of start the fight. We accomplished that here, so we'll be able to see much more strategy involved now. So we see if you dodge through him, you are able to do a free quick attack. And when you see our character glow red, that's when we're getting an attack buff with our consecutive hats. And we do get hit again there, so we have to heal up one more time. But now I promise we get into the fight. We do jump over his spike attack and then hit him with a free quick attack. 1, 2, or hit him with a free quick attack. We follow up his jump attack by jumping away because we want to lead him out of the corner. We're again going to jump away. And then we are going to get right on him, punish with a quick attack, stay on his left hip or right hip as you're looking at him. And when he does his left-right option or third, we have another window right there. So he's going to jump away from us. We'll jump over the spikes, get him with a quick attack here, dodge rid of the spikes that time, stay on that hip that I mentioned, and dodge through it. You're going to be able to bait him into mostly using those attacks when you implement the strategy that we're using here. When he jumps away from us, that's a fine opportunity to close the distance with a jump attack of your own. Hit him with a quick attack. He's going to, again, do that quick 1-2 swing. We jump over the spikes and hit him with a heavy jump attack to finish off the Ghost of Godrick. Now, this one, the damage was all right. The times that we got hit was not. The Poleblades do leave us in animations about a tick second than we'd like to, and we got punished throughout this fight because of it. So for that reason, the Ghost of Godfrey fight, a little bit more difficult than normal. We give the overall difficulty rating as a 5 on 10 as we head upstairs to Morgott. So Morgott is another one of those bosses, like the Red Wolf, that's a bit of a glass cannon. So because we had some difficulty against the Red Wolf, I decided to fight this one a little bit more conservatively, really waiting until we got clear windows to go for the Ash of War, such as when he does his holy attack. So right here with the spear attack, we're able to duck into him, hit him with the Ash of War, and we see not much damage being done because when he is going into his phase 2 transition, he gets a severe damage buff. However, what he doesn't get during that phase is a buff or a resistance to any kind of bleed buildup that we're causing him. And that is why right when phase 2 starts, we are able to proc a bleed, getting him with a shred of health left. And then after he finishes his transition, he doesn't get a chance to get off a single attack against us. We absolutely Exodia obliterate Morgott. The difficulty as we disrespect his throne with Eleanor's Poleblade against this boss fight comes in at only a 2 on 10 for that reason. However, the next boss, the Fire Giant, has some resistance against fire. So we're going to have to see if this weapon can keep the upper momentum going there. When fighting the Fire Giant, you want to, of course, first attack his left Achilles, and that'll be the right Achilles as you're looking at the screen. The thing about this weapon is it does a lot of fire damage, and the Fire Giant naturally is very resistant to fire. So what you want to do is find a window of opportunity to get your consecutive hits working for you, because he's going to be very resistant to the damage of this weapon. But if we can get off several of these consecutive hits, that's going to allow Millicent's Prostate, it's going to allow the Rotten Wind and Sigma to get full effects in. But it's just a matter of trying to find that window of opportunity. And we had a couple missed chances here, but when he does his jumping slam attack, that opens up a grand window. And as you can see, a full Ash of War getting put off on him, causing a bleed proc. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got a stagger here, but we were able to get him right as he was rolling away, letting us had him with the Ash of War yet again on his way out. So far, so good in phase 1. I did take a couple of hits just due to some mistimed roll, but you can see the damage is amazing. Even though we are in New Game +2 on this run, it really doesn't fall off at all. And as we get ready for phase 2, we can see a tremendous amount of buildup, both in damage, both in bleed, and in stagger, even though he is resistant to this weapon, making Eleanor's Poleblade during the phase 1 of the Fire Giants really shine. Now for phase 2, we're going to have to be even more careful because he's going to be rolling around, and we're going to need to really get off that full range of motion to hit him. Whenever you do gets him staggered for the Fire Giant, I always recommend, you go for his head instead of going for the critical strike. The critical strike will do some damage, yeah, but almost always you'll do more damage just attacking the Fire Giant's head when it's down. It is his weak point. And if you choose to go for, the critical strike in the eye, as opposed to just wailing on its head, you'll almost always do far less damage. That's going to be with Eleanor's Poleblade or any weapon, but with the Poleblade itself, what I like to do, because we are in a longer animation, is I like to, instead of being in front of him when we're vulnerable, I like to head to this back leg when he does one of his dives, because I know that as soon as we prop the bleed, which right there we're so close, he's going to be in a world of hurt, because that bleed proc does a percentage of his health as opposed to just some regular damage. And right over here, before he gets a chance to breathe the fire out of his mouth, we are able to use an Ash of War with a followed up light attack to finish him off. The difficulty of the Fire Giant with Eleanor's Poleblade comes in at a nice and smooth 2 out of 10. Not too bad at all. Plenty of windows of opportunity to use the Ash of War. Let's head to the Crumbling Farmazuka. The trick to defeating the Godskin Duo with Eleanor's Poleblade, as we found out here, is simply to use the Ash of War as little as possible. These bosses, because there are 2 of them, and they are programmed to, anytime you heal or anytime you use an animation that will keep you animation locked, such as the Ash of War, they are programmed to quickly punish, and the other one who you're not attacking will start throwing fireballs at you. So as you see right there, the second I pressed the Ash of War, he started doing a fully charged heavy attack, putting us in a bad position from the start, forcing us to heal up and start attacking him. So right here, we try to grab him with a quick light attack, but because the skinny one is right on top of him, I know we're going to be really struggling for a window, because he is should be going into phase 2 here very shortly because he's right at half health. If you do get some good RNG and he does not go to second phase, you might be able to punish him. But really and truly, when he's at this health bar, you have to think, hey, he's about to go into second phase, and you need to be planning for that accordingly. What we're doing here, when we're kind of getting away from him a little bit, is potentially setting up a reason to hit him. And we do get that right there, as we do get some big damage off during the transition, allowing us to get some follow-up light attacks when he is done. Now that we aggressively took out the first Godskin, we are able to attack this one a lot faster and a lot harder, because the more damage we do on him, the more likely it is going to be that we keep the fight in a one-on-one fight. We were a little bit possibly too aggressive there, but at the end of the day, he did not take us down. So as long as you are training him, good enough to where you're not worried about getting hit by him when he is doing his attacks because they won't do enough damage, then you're going to be in a good place to win the fight. It's all about picking those windows. So right there, you saw him summoning his friend with the bell, which is an excellent time to come in and hit that Ash of War and do a absolute metric fuck ton of damage here. And we see, at this point of the fight, we've learned how to do the Godskins. We're going to do quick attacks until their guaranteed window comes out whenever they do their bell, whenever they do that transition to second phase. And that is what's going to keep us in the fight and keep this a one-on-one fight. So right here, I know that the bell is coming. And when it does come, I'm going to have to be hyper aggressive in order to help me finish off the fight. So here's the bell. We immediately proc the Ash of War. I know if we can get a blood proc, we're going to be good to go. And so we decide to play aggressive, and it pays off. That right there is why it's better to be greedy than to be good at the game. Godskin Duo down. Eleonora Poleblade difficulty ends up clocking in at a 7 on 10. This was a tough fight even with these tips. We lost it one time before it, and because of the aggressive nature of the Poleblade, trading with these bosses is always going to make it a risky fight. Let's head upstairs to Malkeith. Malkeith is always a difficult fight, whether you're a new player or a returning player. And even though Eleanor's Poleblade is a great weapon, if you don't utilize an effective strategy, you will still have a harder time with this boss. So one thing I like to do is pop my Psychic Flask right as I enter the arena. And when you first enter the arena, he will talk a little bit of shite to you. But if you're entering it the second time, like we did right here, he'll charge at you right away. He got us on the first round. And the reason he got us is because we were trying to rely on the weapon to carry, as opposed to relying on a good strategy for the Poleblade. So when utilizing the Poleblade, you actually don't want to use the Ash of War during phase 1 unless you're at the very end leading into phase 2. Reason for that is we don't want this boss to get staggered in phase 1, because once he is staggered, that stagger bar resets. And if you stagger him in phase 1 once, by the time phase 2 comes around, you're not going to be able to take advantage of a disgusting combo, which you will see in phase 2. So phase 1 attacks only after some guaranteed windows, and I like to stick with the light attacks with our Poleblades. So when he does his twisty turny attack, we can come in, a light attack. He throws his rocks, light attack. He runs away from us, we activate his chain attack and end the slam, light attack. Right now, I know he's pretty in range to punish with an Ash of War, so we're going to pop him right here. And as you see, even though he tried to escape us, we popped him with the Ash of War. Now, when he's right here, we can dodge to the horizontal swipe, follow him up with a full Ash of War, and you see a big stagger, allowing us to critical strike the beast with a massive amount of damage as the bleed pops, and then finish him off with a second Ash of War in phase 2. Implementing this strategy is going to make Malkeith a piece of cake, and when you do it this way with Eleanor's Poleblade, the true difficulty of the fight is going to be a 1 on 10. Let's head up to Gideon, the All-Knowing. The Gideon fight goes of 2 ways. It's going to be short and sweet the first time you enter the arena, or it's going to be long and hard the second time you enter it. Right when you enter it, you're able to charge him down, activate your Ash of War for free, and in the middle of his Japanese speech, he will first try to hit you with a debuff, allowing you to do a second Ash of War and finish him off with the Ash of War follow-up. Gideon didn't even get a chance to say his first sentence. Gideon spoke Japanese to the grave. Gideon, the All-Knowing, couldn't see this combo coming. Gideon, the All-Knowing, had his name changed to the L-Knowing. Biggest L, not just of this run, Biggest L, not just of any run with any weapon against Gideon. Biggest L with any weapon and any boss. Eleanor's Poleblade absolutely criminalizes Gideon the L, knowing if you use this strategy, you will never, ever have a hard time with them. The difficulty is a 1 on 10. Enjoy your free win, and let's head to the first Elden Lord, Godfrey. Upon entering Godfrey's arena, he's first going to charge you with a dragging axe attack, allowing us to dodge forward through it and gets off a free hit to start the fight, as we see right here. Quick dodge, quick attack. He'll either run away from you or do a jump attack, allowing you to, again, do a follow-up quick attack. And that is going to be the theme of Phase 1 Godfrey. We're not going to be sticking with much other than these quick attacks here. Like we learned in the Ghost fight, we want to stick to these guaranteed windows in order to maximize our success. When he does his jump attacks, that could be a good time to punish. He'll jump away from you, put spikes on the ground, letting you to jump over the spikes, dodge through the punish, and hit him with those quick attacks. So you can see right there in quick succession, as we heal back up to full and get kissed with the axe, we are able to get some devastating damage off. And when he does choose to run away from us, we can not only jump over his attack, but we can hit him in midair while doing so. It is a great combination, as we see here. The jumps away, we follow it up, we do a jump attack, we troll through the follow-up punish. And whenever he is doing this, you have a good opportunity here to fool, but you don't want to be too greedy like we were there. So we are able to get the heal, and we're going to be treating the rest of this fight very conservatively as we miss yet another dodge. Really and truly, that's not the weapon's fault. I was kind of dodging poorly here on out, but we're going to see the vision of the Godfrey strategy with this run come into fruition. And now, as phase 1 is ending, I'm thinking, hey, we've been building up a stagger with the Poleblade. We're going to wait for an opportunity to get an Ash of War attack off right as he's transitioning. And that's going to allow us, when phase 2 starts, to really put a world of hurting on him. As we see right here, the Ash of War comes out. And although we don't quite get him all the way, we get him enough to be able to, on the second follow-up, finish him off. The reason we did that is I know from 2 Ashes of War, his stance is almost broken. So we do the fights with a quick Ash of War right there in order to start the stagger buildup. We do get an unfortunate RNG where we get him to do a jump attack on us. It's going to just make him land on us. And even though we have a tread of health from taking that hit, it is always better to be greedy than to be good. Godfrey doesn't get a chance to recover. Godfrey doesn't get a chance to do a slam attack. Godfrey heads straight back to the land of barbarians where he belongs. The first Elden Lord is down. The first Elden Lord is out. The overall difficulty of Godfrey with Eleanor's Poleblade clocks in at a 4 on 10. Let's head upstairs to the Elden Beast. When fighting Radagon, you want to punish his pre-programmed windows. One of those is going to be right when the fight starts. You get a chance to unload a fully built up and follow-up Ash of War on him. Another follow-up is going to be when he does his leg raise followed by his hammer down attack. This time right here, we weren't quite able to punish that. He did do it slightly before we were able to take advantage of it. But after the slam, he is going to be in a vulnerable window, allowing us to, again, follow him up with an Ash of War, critical strike. And the idea is we want to time out this next hit. As soon as his left foot hits the ground, we press it, and we're able to get off a couple more hits on him on his way out. Now that he is below half health, he's going to get this attack triggered. This is his triple slam attack, and we're able to dodge to the third one and again hit him with an Ash of War, doing a boatload of damage, getting him to within about one shot of the finish line here. An unfortunate miss dodge on my end there, and we do get a little bit stagger locked on the follow-up, but because he just has one more hit after he does this slam, we're going to be able to take him out with a couple of light attacks. He did hit us about 3 different times, so we can't give it a 1 or 2 on difficulty, but it ends up coming out at a 4 on 10 with Radagon with Eleanor's Poleblade, just due to the fact that oftentimes the Ash of War can carry you away from hitting him. Elden Beast is a bit of a different story. You'll notice the water splashing up as we run towards the beast. Anytime there is water on an arena, if you have a weapon that does fire damage, you're going to be doing reduced damage with us fire attacks. So as we're hitting him with our Poleblade, we are not doing the maximum effective damage. So we need to keep in mind that we need to rely a lot on our consecutive hits in order to really get our damage output up. And that's why we are spamming this Ash of War every time we get a free window. So we get it here again, and we are able to grab the critical strike. And you can see just with this one combo, pumping the Ashes of War, comboing it again before he gets out of there, and then getting a follow-up critical strike with yet another punish on his way. The first time the boss gets a chance to do his ring around the rosy attack, he only has about 1/3 of his health remaining, a little bit above, we'll call it 36% of his health remaining. Whenever he does that ring around the rosy attack, you want to turn straight around and then run forward, and you will immediately face the beast. A bit of unusual RNG, because typically after his first ring around the rosy, he immediately goes into his Elden Star attack, which we see right here. So because he did do that homing beacon attack, he did get a chance to get away from us. If he had stayed there and we were able to get off a couple of Ashes of War, more times than not when you're doing this fight, that will be the sequence that you fight him with. But being that it went this way, he does get a chance to run away again like a coward, do his triple ring around the rosy attack like a coward. But we just do our 180, run straight forward, get right to where he's at with the full health of knowing that he is not long for this world. If he does escape from you and he does his 4 holy slash, we dodge through all 4 of them on the way. During his recovery, we're able to activate the Rash of War, start punishing him again, start building up his stagger again. And then, unfortunately, we do get an AoE. When he puts that AoE, get the heck out to dodge, get back into the fight, and on his recovery, you are again able to punish with an Ash of War. During the slam, if you dodge forward at the right time, you'll be right against him. As he goes into his melee attacks here, this is the hammer that hit the nail, the hammer on the coffin, and this will be his ultimate demise as we finish him off with a combo of jump attack and a light attack. Now, the Elden Beast difficulty is actually a bit easier than Radagon because it's such a large target. Easy to spam your Ash of War there. Overall difficulty clocked in at a 3 on 10. He did get away from us a couple times, but the damage was great, and that first combo that we were able to hit really set the tone for the rest of the match. Now that we know how the weapon has performed against all the 14 required bosses with their difficulty rating, let's get into a breakdown of the tier list and see how Eleanor's Poleblade compares to the other weapons in Elden Ring. The average difficulty rating on a scale of 1 to 10 when using Eleanor's Poleblade to defeat the 14 mandatory bosses to become the Elden Lord came in at a surprising 3.78 out of 10. Now, this is a weapon that so many people know, and I expected it to perform much better than it did. However, the reality is that a lot of the bosses were able to knock us out of the attack before they got off. The tracking of the Ash of War itself isn't great. You really need to be lined up into a boss fight when you get into it. The inability to customize the weapon, topping off at only a 77 blood beat up on a 48 Arcanine compared to some of the other Poleblades actually does not propel it into the S tier like this weapon's famous notoriety might suggest. Although it is an incredibly fun weapon to use, some of the bosses such as the Godskin Duo, such as Godfrey, will absolutely punish the living daylights out if you try to use that Ash of War on it. As it pertains to a run truly to become the Elden Lord, this weapon shockingly ends up being an average weapon. I would actually put it above the Circa Curse Blades, but below the Scorpion Stinger, which is absolutely shocking to me, having done a playthrough with both of these weapons. But enough about what I think. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the Eleanor's Poleblade tier ranking? Is this an absolute standout S tier weapon? I mean, come on. We use it in the Darth Maul run. It's a Darth Maul playthrough weapon. What are we doing in the C tier? He's the best villain of Star Wars of all time. What talismans would you have done differently? Did I just have the build wrong despite hours of extensive research? Let me know in the comments down below. Always love hearing from you. And until next time, for the Tarnished, stay maidenless.